Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pastas with No Sauce. Yep. Well, I don't really know how to open this video. So, I have a good idea. How about we read a bad story? Today, we are going to be reading a story simply titled Wario Land 4. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Wario Land 4 is probably one of my favorite games, like, ever. So, obviously, I need to read a story about it. Let's just get started. When I was younger, I loved the Game Boy Advance. The games that came with it were absolutely fantastic. I loved clocking hours on each one. I was very good at most, 'cause I was young. Wait, oh, I was never very good at most. Okay, that made sense. 'Cause I was young. But I loved it at the time. Next to Pokemon, my two favorite games were Yoshi's Island and Wario Land 4. Yoshi's Island I was fine at. The levels were fairly easy to complete, and I took my time on each one, getting 100% on several worlds. Guess I didn't get all of them, though. It's a bummer. You know, I've actually never played Yoshi's Island. I mean, I played it, but I never played it all the way through. I did play the DS one. People always hate on that game. Anyways, Wario Land 4 was different. I wasn't very good at all. There were many different button combinations you had to master to excel at the game. Yoshi's Island had a lot of button combinations, too. Okay. You had to master... Because, like, you had to throw eggs and flutter jump and ground... It's about the... Okay. Anyways, the temporary level techniques... like dominoes row and, in quotes, beat the dominoes in a race were confusing and difficult temporary level techniques. You could have just said level gimmicks. You would have gotten the point across just as fine. The bosses, well, they were just nightmare fuel. They were... incredibly creepy. Still, I find them creepy today. I mean, I guess they're kinda. It wasn't until I discovered my old Yoshi's Island. Beat it 100% on all worlds this time, guys. And twice. Okay, now you're just trying to brag. But that I realized one thing was missing. Wario Land. I figured since I was older now and much better at gaming... Okay, sure. I could beat Wario Land 4 once and for all. I did as a kid, but I had to have lots of help from my brother. I rummaged through all my old boxes, which you seem to keep, which has old games in it. Wow, that's convenient. But I couldn't find the Wario Land 4 cartridge anywhere. I asked my brother where it was, and he said he cleared it out a while ago to get some money for a new game he wanted. What a great brother, selling your siblings games. I'm glad to be an only child. I was pretty sad at the time. I always knew a ROM and emulator was an option. You could just said an emulator, but, you know, whatever. I wanted to relive the moments as I did as a kid. And besides, if I did use an emulator... I'd be compelled to either use Game Shark or save states. Dude, Wario Land 4 is not that hard of a game. You do not need a Game Shark or save states to beat it. Well, then again, I've played the game like a million different times, so maybe I don't know, but it's not that hard of a game. No, I had to have the cartridge. A close friend of mine oh god, I messed that up, but I'm not cutting this out. I told a close friend of mine, an old school Nintendo enthusiast, you could have just said a Nintendo fan, about my predicament. Whoa, somebody's using some big words here. He listened, and he said that he had the cartridge. I asked him if I could borrow it, but he just offered it to me. Free. Not for free, just free. Needless to say, I was grateful, but I wondered why he would just give it to me. I asked and he said, I didn't like it. It was too creepy. Well, I had to agree. It was a creepy game for when I was young. But but earlier you said, and I quote, the bosses, well, they were just nightmare fuel. They were incredibly creepy. And here, it says, still, I find them creepy today. So, obviously, you still find the game creepy. So, your argument is completely invalid. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. When I got home from school, I got my GBA out and popped in Wario Land 4. It started up after the Nintendo indent. The Nintendo indent. Gosh, just say logo. You don't have to sound smart all the time. And it begun, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, with the familiar introduction of Wario almost running over a cat. Yep, that's exactly what happens. But I already knew what it was. It was a cat, obviously. I was impatient to get into the game. That's a weird way of wording that, but okay. In the, quote, save select menu, I was immediately weirded out. The first save hadn't been played yet. It just said new game. But the second save, the bottom one, had all the bosses defeated, and it said, and in quotes, corrupted. And for some reason, the period is in the quotes, so does that mean that the period was in, like, was there a period in the save title? I don't know. But it had corrupted as its title. That was weird for several reasons. First, you'd think a game would just delete the save or something because it wasn't playable anymore if it was corrupted. It'd probably have different color. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is one of those... They spell color with a U. I immediately hate the story. Yeah, it'd probably have different color and text, like red or something, so it could stand out slightly. Lastly, why would they put a period at the end of the word oh, okay. Okay, well, I guess that answers my question from earlier. I guess you did that on purpose. But they had to compensate for size. Tell me about it. I knew I was overthinking it, so I just selected the top save, and the game worked fine. I cleared the entry passage in no time. Wow, you're so cool. It's literally only one level, and like the easiest boss fight in the entire world. I wasn't expecting spoiled Rotten's change in facial expression, though. Heh. Heh. Yeah, so funny. Okay. As I played for a few hours each day for the next... A few hours? You can beat the game in like 2 hours if you're... Like, you can beat the game in a couple hours. You must be, like, really bad. But yeah, I played for a few hours each day for the next few days. And before I knew it, I had all the CDs, jewel pieces, and was about to face the Golden Diva. Which is not impressive, because CDs aren't that hard to find, and you literally need the jewel... You have to collect every jewel piece or you can't beat the game. She was as creepy as I always remembered her. Oh, so you can remember that, but you couldn't remember the first boss. Okay. The Elizabethan masks. And when she runs out of different masks, the face underneath. Elizabethan, is that a word? Whatever. The face underneath, it made and still makes my skin crawl. It's not that creepy. Anyways, I cleared her pretty easily. I mastered all the button combinations, so I could bring her down, her health down quickly. Yeah, mastering the button combinations kind of does that. That's how you get good at a game, moron. I cleared the game and I got the perfect ending. Finally, my childhood was relived. I packed it one day to go to school to give it back, but forgot my friend allowed me to keep it. I left it on my desk for when I got home. When I got home, I longed for more Wario Land. Oh, Wario does that to you. It's the sort of game where you beat it once and you want to do it again. It's like drugs. I was ready to reload my clear save and fight some bosses, but I misclicked. because I hooked up my mouse to my Game Boy, and it didn't click right. Pressing the A button when the game loaded were something of a ritual. Bad grammar aside, that's kind of weird, but I'm just gonna ignore that. But my finger was hovering over the down button on the D-pad, so I must have pressed it accidentally on the save screen. Happens to the best of us. Oops, I accidentally pressed down on the D-pad. Before I realized, I pressed A, and then something weird happened. The game actually loaded corrupted in quotations. So, it wasn't a corrupted save. It was an actual level name. I'd never heard of it before. It definitely wasn't part of the game, even though it's literally in the game. Okay. I was in a passage. Wow. As the smaller version of Wario who navigates around the pyramid, the wall color was very dark. Again, color with a U. Ugh. The color of the floor in the central pyramid. What? Oh, yeah. What? Question mark. 3 levels were grayed out, as well as the boss room. The minigame room wasn't there. The level I was hovering over was called Corrupted. The level picture was plain white. How creative. I tried to go back into the central period where I was, but pyramid to find out where I was. Well, you just answered your own question. You're in the pyramid, because you would... whatever. But Wario wouldn't go back. I tried pressing B multiple times. I even tried left on the D-pad. What? You tried left on the D-pad? Oh my gosh. You mad lad. But he wouldn't leave. I had no choice but to press A and load the level, which... no, you could have just turned it off. Wario jumped onto the frog statue to open the vortex. The frog statue chimed once, but Wario remained silent. Ooh, scary. Traveling through the vortex, Wario made no sound, not even the scream that he does. Okay. Upon arriving into the level, everything was black except the foreground. Wow. The artist must have been pretty lazy that day. Wario was in some sort of big hallway, like the one that builds up to a boss battle. How could you know? Because literally everything was black and white. The background was jet black. Even though you literally already said that. What he was standing on was lighter black. Ooh, okay. Now we're getting a bit risky. All you could see was Wario. I mean, what else would you want to see? When he entered the level fully, he said his trademark, "Hurry up!" and a timer appeared. No music played. The level was silent. The timer had, some dashes, so no numbers, which was weird. Something of a puzzle to work out where to go. I knew it was a hallway as soon as I decided to go right, and I could continue in that direction. It was very odd, maybe even enough to put my friend off the game. It got worse as I continued. Oh my goodness. Did it turn into an even darker shade of black? There was a flash of light once, twice, a third time. Wow, this is so interesting. A light was flickering on and off. It would remain on for about 3/4 of a second because, like all of these creepypasta writers, apparently, they always are keeping exact measurements on the time. The background was very weird. It was Cractus, not a moving live Cractus, but some kind of concept art. It was Cractus with that very angry expression he has when you jump on his head. His saliva was not white, but red. Blood? Question mark? Ooh, oh man. Well, I'm surprised it took us this long into the story to get to blood. I mean, I would have expected it to pop up sooner. Well, he had some of whatever it was smeared along his face. It was mostly around his teeth and lips. Wow, that's almost like that's where his mouth is, and that's where saliva comes from. How interesting. He must have eaten something, question mark? Well, I sped to the end of the hallway. It was just a wall. I knew it because I bashed into it. Oh. Okay. What happened next was strange. Wario just left the level. I guess he's as sick of this story as I am. Much like where you reach the beginning vortex after planting the bomb in the level. What? Planting the bomb? You mean pressing the frog switch? I don't know the bomb. Whatever. There wasn't even a vortex. He just left. He's just like, I'm out. I don't blame him. This story sucks. He screamed like he does normally upon his return. Keither wasn't following, though. Well, did you collect Keither? I don't think you did, so why would he even be there? That's stupid. Whatever. After returning, Wario didn't do anything. He didn't have any sort of reaction. His face was just dots. Emotionless. Blank. The door ahead of him opened, even though Keither wasn't there. The lock fell off as when Keither opened it. Wario still didn't react. Because he's sick of all this crap. I was taken back to the passage, and the next level illuminated. The level picture was still white. And the level name was different. Oh. I'm tired. It had corrupt, but get this, 2 periods, id, like ED, and then 2 more periods as its title. Also, that was in quotations, BTW. I got a bit more nervous, seeing as what happened the last time was practice in the background. I thought the only thing that would change this time was the actual boss, and I was right. It was the same hallway as before, the same flicker of the lights, the same stupid story. But Kaku Condor was there in its clock shell and the claw... What? Oh, and the claw just let go of a body, which was lying on the floor dead. The body had no head. It was just a carcass. Blood spilled all over the floor. Oh, boys, ooh-wee howdy. And the blood was smeared around the condor's claw. Blood and gore never disturbed me, but it was certainly interesting, which is a lie, because this isn't interesting at all. It's really boring. And I'm certain it was enough to put my friend off the game. I reached the end and was taken back. This happened twice more for the final 2 levels. The next one I found pretty funny. And, I never knew how to say that. Erodent. We're going to just say that. The teddy bear balloon had sat on a person and blood was all around its butt. Okay. And had that smiley expression it always has. That's literally one of the least funny things I've ever heard. But yeah, it was hilarious. Same thing happened again when I exited the level. The final one was Cat Bat, and this one I found quite weird. And the other ones weren't. Cat Bat, is that what it's actually called? I don't know, I have to look that up. Cat Bat had blood on its claws. Oh boy, who would have guessed? And there was blood around the mouth of the bat and on its head. Oh, was it on its butt too? The body on the floor this time, I could see it had a yellow shirt and with purple overalls. Period. Wario? I was a little confused. Let me guess, Wario was dead the whole time and he's in hell or something? But I rushed to the end of the level, decided enough was enough for one day, and I wanted to see what the save game title was for the, and in quotes, boss. The next day, I started up Wario Land 4 again, and pressed A. The save game menu appeared, and the second one was Okay. Let's take a look at this boss again, I thought. I hit A. Oh, what'd A ever do to you? Surely enough, Wario was in the passage, and I braced myself a little. For what? Whatever. I hit right on the D-pad, and Wario moved up one to the boss. Golden Diva quotes, huh? She's not supposed to be here. I pressed A. And it loaded the mini animation of Wario walking up to the boss door. The regular creepy music still played, because creepy music is pretty regular to me. Though, the walls were golden, like the actual animation. The hallway was still the same. And the background music played. The item shop was even accessible. The music was a nice change from the silence on this save file. I didn't have any medals though, so I couldn't buy anything. Could you not play minigames? I carried onward through the hallway to the boss door. I braced myself and I pressed... Brace yourself for what? It's... whatever. Pressed up. The door opened slowly before Wario, and this story's going slowly for me. Everything was the same. The background, Diva's appearance. I don't even care anymore. You didn't even have to bring all that up. You could just said everything was the same, but okay. The only thing that changed was the cat. It didn't rush in this time and try to protect me. Instead, her mask duplicated into four and flowed around her like they normally do. I thought to myself, I'll play along since, you know, the author is obviously so above all this. So I defeated the Golden Diva, and after about 3 tries, Wario looked happy. The pose he does after he defeats the boss appeared. Then, dashes, the screen cut to black. Oh, scary. Stayed like that for about 10 seconds, because like usual, keeping the time. In which time, I was tempted to turn off the GBA. And I'm really tempted to stop reading this story, but it's almost over, so I guess I'll continue. Because I thought, well, that's it, that's the end. And it just played out a little differently, but the screen illuminated. You really like that word, huh? It was a scene in the desert, like in the main menu when Wario's driving his car, except it must have been the... You know, I never understood. Wario was driving in the desert in the cutscene, but the pyramid is in the middle of the jungle. I don't know. Wario's driving his car, except it must have been the post-game scene. Wario's car wasn't there and there was no music. No, he had the car in the post-game scene. How would he be driving? Just driving air? Whatever. About 2 seconds later, the screen began to scroll to the right in the direction Wario drives in the post-game scene. You could have just said, like... That's... I don't know. It's just a weird way of putting it. But it was going much slower. Wario's purple car came in the shot, and so they're just driving without him. Were there 2 Warios? I'm so confused. It scrolled up further, revealing a... Yeah, come on, take a guess. Is it blood? Is it Wario driving? Or is it like blood? It's blood, yeah. Wario leaned on his steering wheel dead. I feel like you'd probably get a ticket for that. Car had been totally wrecked at the front, smashed into a... Then how's it still running? Whatever. Game cut to black. Oh, sorry. The game cut the black. Not to black, the black. It cut the black. Like, dang, okay. It remained that way for several minutes. I assumed nothing would happen, so I shut off the GBA, I restarted it, and got to the main menu. Corrupted. Had been deleted. The save file, just a new game. I clicked A. I clicked A. I got my mouse down. I clicked A. This is overused. The game resets normal. It was certainly a weird. Yeah, it was a weird. Period. Well, I don't even know what it was. An error, a hack, but it stopped me playing Wario Land 4 for a while. And that's the story. I hate it. It's terrible. I mean, I didn't even really have anything all that witty to say. I mean, the story wasn't bad. I mean, no, I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't like bad. I mean, there wasn't really anything overtly. It was just boring. This is just one of the most boring stories I've ever read, and that's all I've got from this. It's really boring. Hoping for something a bit more exciting. But, well, that's all for pastas with no sauce. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.